How do you handle it if you're around a child who clearly is a victim of emotional incest? Let's talk about this on today's Ask a Shrink. I want to focus on a step-parent who comes into a marriage and they can tell there's some emotional incest going on here with this child. They wonder, how do I deal with that? I'm in love with my husband or my wife, but this clearly has to be something that we're going to address together. So I want to read an email I received several months ago from a stepmother who's dealing with these very questions I just mentioned. My name is Cordula and I'm from Germany. Can I please ask you something? My partner raised his daughter as a mini wife. I am the new wife at his side and we have already achieved a lot in bringing her out of the role as being the mini wife. Now my questions, how can I help that as the stepmother of this girl so that she's a child again and not a mini wife? My partner is still having adult conversations with his daughter and she has in parentheses age 11. He doesn't talk to her in an age-appropriate manner. How can I make it clear to him that this is too much for her? Thanks for your time to read my email. Best regards, Cordula. So what a great series of questions she has there. What a concerned stepmother. So let's start first with the fact that we have step-parenting going on here. And we want the couple to be a unified couple. When parents aren't unified, that's when everything can just go to hell really quickly. Because without the unification, the child can clearly see this, especially a girl who's age 11, and be really good at manipulating that in terms of pitting one parent against the other parent. So then if the parent and the step-parent start arguing about this, now it's not really about the kid so much, really. It's now about a power or control issue in the marriage. Do I come first? Do the kids come first? I think this, you think that. So we really need the parents unified. So you need to have a lot of discussions with your significant other about this. How are we going to approach this issue? So I hope, Cordula, that when you bring this up to your husband, that he gets where you're coming from, that you can see the damage from the emotional incest that happened before you came into the picture. And now that you see it more clearly, you're like, whoa, I'm married here to her father, but I don't want to participate in her being treated as a little girl anymore in terms of being the little mini wife. And when you mention that the father is talking to her as an adult, I'm assuming he's sharing a lot of his adult problems with her. So then with that said about the marriage, and the other part of this for you, Cordula, is moving into a relationship with the 11-year-old girl. I don't know how long you've been together with the father, but before a step-parent comes in and does too much, they need to build a relationship with the stepchildren, or in this case, the stepchild. Get to know them. It's going to take some time. There's a process to it. They may have all kinds of hidden feelings about their mother who's now gone, guilt about even interacting with the so-called new mom, lots of barriers up that they're not even aware of. So you have to pay attention to this, take it slowly, and talk to the child in terms of you can ask some of these questions that I just mentioned, but your role is more of a listener and again, trying to build a solid relationship with this child. Now, once this is established, hopefully there's a good relationship between you and the stepdaughter, then you can take a more structured approach with your husband in terms of how you're going to approach this. The two of you need to be on the same page. If you can't get on the same page about this, I would suggest you seek some couples counseling. Now, the best thing you can do if your husband is battling you on your perception of the child being emotionally smothered and the fact that he turned her into his mini wife, then the next step is to role model for her what a strong, healthy woman is all about. So in that case, you're going to step up to him sometimes in front of the daughter. So he's smothering her. You're sitting there perhaps at the dinner table. He's now starting to unload on her some of his problems at the dinner table. You can interject and say in front of the daughter, you know, honey, just say this for me. We can talk about it later. Let's hear about Anne's day today. Let's hear what she did at school. So you keep putting the focus back on Anne, taking her out of that role as much as you can. And you do this across the board as much as you can. You're role modeling for her healthy behavior, that she's not the mini wife. Focus on her needs, her ability to express herself, what she wants out of life, her plans, what healthy communication in adults is all about. So if she's willing to hear this, you're going to talk about this. How important it is to share your feelings. Do you know your feelings, Anne? So she was put into the role as the mini wife by your husband, and perhaps the bio mother allowed it, and you're not going to role model for her what it means to have healthy communication. You can't force it, you can't cajole her, you can't beat her into it, you have to just simply role model it. And you're role modeling sometimes also standing up to the father in front of the daughter. So she will now witness what a strong woman really is all about. There's equality in a marriage. The father is over talking Anne. You can interject at different times and say, well, you've shared a lot here, honey. Let's hear what Anne has to say about it. So you keep role modeling the fact that there is an Anne here. There's this little 11-year-old girl here, and you're providing space for her because the father is not doing that. And if it's hard to get on the same page with your husband, remember it's a really tough role to walk into a marriage as a stepfather or a stepmother. There's a lot of odds against you. This is a difficult situation in that sense. You fall in love with somebody and all of a sudden the package deal includes kids around. Well, there's a lot of extra challenges that are going to come along with that. From the stepkid's point of view, there can be issues around loyalty, maybe some competition on some level, some jealousy even. And also, it may be fair to assume the child is not looking for a stepmother at all. She may just want to be with her father, and that's it. So the reason I'm bringing up all these preliminary issues is because you need to wrap your head around this before you're going to make any impact probably in the marriage or with your stepchild the way you want to. Your questions are wonderful, so we have to be smart about the way we deal with this. And also for you to decide as you're getting ready to work within the family structure how you're going to handle the daughter is ask yourself why you're wanting to be in the role as the helper so much. Is it truly just to help the girl grow up and mature in a healthier way, which would be fantastic if that's the motivation? Or do you want to see yourself as the savior or the martyr, that your role somehow is to come in and fix everything? So there's nothing wrong with necessarily wanting to fix things, but just be clear as to your motivation, because depending what our expectations are in working with stepkids, things may go south right away. So we need to have a lot of clarity about what we want to accomplish. So hopefully when you talk to your husband and you bring up the fact that he's raised his daughter as a victim of emotional incest, hopefully he's going to get it. You can talk about what you've observed. Hopefully he's going to chime in and you can share a lot of conversations about this. He can perhaps examine why this has happened. He's forthcoming about his feelings and details and wants to improve the situation, then everything's good. Now though, however, if you talk to him and he gets defensive and he denies it and he calls you crazy for even thinking about all this and he says, I'm not going to change a single thing about how I interact with my daughter, now it gets a little more dicey, right? Because you don't have the power, you don't have the control. You're a step. That's just the reality. The step is always the one a little more removed on the outside, maybe wanting to help a lot, but they don't necessarily have the power. In the child's mind, they either want to hear it from daddy or mommy, bio mommy. They don't want to hear it from a step. So if this is the situation, this may also add some more complication to the story. So I hope I've answered some of your questions, Cardula, and for anybody else watching, I hope it's been somewhat helpful. Step parenting can be a difficult situation, very frustrating sometimes. Please leave me some comments below about what you think about step parenting if you happen to be a step parent, or maybe you were raised by a step parent. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrimp.